Hi, good morning. Thank you for pressing play today. And I'm so glad you're here to continue our Bible study. And as you know, last week we finished in 1 Samuel, I think 8 through 15. And we're continuing into chapters 17 and 16 this week. But this Sunday, we have also moved into a new unit because last week we learned that the Israelites' first king, who was, do you remember his name? Starts with an S. It was Saul, okay? That was the first king, right? He did not obey God. He disobeyed God. So God said he's going to give the kingdom to another king. So God, okay? God is finding another king. Not the people of Israel, not the prophet Samuel. God is finding a king. And we want to just keep that in our mind as we continue to go through this Bible and our Bible studies, is that we want to keep our picture and keep our lives and our studies as a God-centered study. And we have to remember that God plans everything and God is in charge of everything. He is he's all-knowing, right? And he is planning things that we can't even see. So I'm going to quickly move into our Bible study. We're going to talk about this second king that's coming up. His name is, I wonder if anyone knows. Does anyone know what the second king is? We had Saul. Then there's a second king that God is bringing. His name is David, right? Who knows the story about David and Goliath? That is our story today. David and Goliath. And we'll go into that and we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. But right now I'm going to read us our story. I hope you have your Bibles with you. Remember, the Bible is God's special book. His words are written there. And every time I turn the page, I handle it with care. I'm glad you have your Bibles. I'm glad you're sitting with me and listening. And so let's read our story. Saul was the king of Israel, but he disobeyed God. So God chose a new king for Israel, a better king. God sent Samuel to Bethlehem to visit a man named Jesse. One of Jesse's sons would be Israel's next king. Jesse had 8 sons. Jesse's oldest son was tall and handsome. When Samuel saw him, he thought, "This must be the one God has chosen to be king." But God told Samuel, "He's not the one. Do not pay attention to what he looks like. You look at what you can see on the outside, but I see the heart." One by one, Jesse's sons approached to Samuel, but God did not choose them either. "Do you have any more sons?" Samuel asked. "Yes," Jesse said. "My youngest son, David, is in the field taking care of the sheep." Jesse sent for David. When David arrived, God told Samuel, "He's the one." Samuel anointed David. He poured oil on David's head to show God had chosen him to be the king. The Spirit of the Lord was with David, and Samuel went back home. When the Philistines gathered an army to fight Israel, King Saul got his army ready too. The Philistines had a great warrior named, what's his name? Goliath, right? Goliath shouted at the Israelites, "Send me your best men and we'll fight one-on-one." But none of the Israelites wanted to fight Goliath. They were afraid of him. One day, Jesse told David to take food to the battlefield. David's brothers were in the Israelites' army. David saw Goliath and how the Israelites were so afraid. David turned to King Saul and said, "I'll fight him." David had fought off lions and bears. He trusted God to keep him safe. So Saul offered his armor to David, but it was too heavy. Instead, David chose 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream and met Goliath armed with only the stones and a slingshot. Goliath made fun of David because he was a young boy, but David said, "You come to fight with a spear and sword, but I come to fight in the name of God." God always wins his battles. David ran toward Goliath. He slung a rock and hit Goliath in the forehead. Goliath fell face down and David killed him. The Israelites won the battle and the Philistines ran away. That's the end of our story. And you know what? You think that this story would be a reminder to be brave and courageous like David. But I want you guys to think about with this story, as you kind of read again, watch the video, do your activity sheets, I want you kind of to think about how God chose David. All right? Remember that. David wasn't anyone special. He was the youngest boy out of all 8 brothers, but God chose him, and God chooses you, right? God is choosing you. I hope you know that. If you don't, I'm telling you, God chooses you, okay? And God gave David the power and the courage to defeat Goliath. God chose David. God is the one who gave him the courage. God is the one who sent him out there with the stones to defeat this big 9-foot man, right? So I want you to remember that God can do great things with us, even if we don't see it and we don't know that it can be true. I want you to remember that with this story. Not that he was so brave and courageous, but that God helped him be brave and courageous. All right, well, this is the end of our study, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.